My good fun and melanine, and well met indeed. My name is FrozenStag, and welcome to a Crusader Kings 2 Game of Thrones Dynasty vote. Now, if you haven't seen the last video I made, which was a personal announcement, detailing some changes and what's going on, and also why we're starting a new Crusader 2 series, then I'd recommend watching that for basically a gist of what's going on and why I'm starting it again. But essentially, we are starting a new series. This vote today will decide the faction/house we play as. You can tell I play a lot of Darkers and Total War. I say faction instead of house, but it is going to be on what house/dynasty we play as. So about a week ago, I did a little post, community post, with regards to what sort of houses you want me to play as. The choice was, and I'll quickly just jump in and show you. Come on. So the choice was between exiled/landless houses, so houses that were previously exiled, or maybe sort of on the verge of extinction, and that was sort of houses that I considered after the events of A Feast for Crows as exiled houses. So, for example, House Rain, which was called Rainhill, the Cadet branch, House Rainhill, the Grey Iron, Starks, Darius, and Hornwoods. We had Valyrian houses, which we'll talk about them later. We had Lordly houses, so houses that just controlled the odd count on its own. We also had for High Lord houses, so those houses that were a bit stronger, and also Lord Paramounts / basically Great houses. So there you go. And with 52 current votes, although I expect that will change as it always does. So in total, so we're going up with the last one that got the least votes, with about 2, and it doesn't give me an exact amount of votes they received. It just goes into percentage, which is fine. So in 2%. Goes to great houses, so not many people interested at all on various great houses. Most people are keen to see the smaller, lesser houses to get involved, which is interesting to see. Coming in 4th place with 4% was Lordly houses, so houses that started with just counties, which is interesting. And then in 3rd place with 6% was High Lordly houses. So again, not many people too fussed on those 3 at all. The other two, of course, were Valyrian and, of course, exiled houses. And some of the houses that were in the section, so, for example, the Great houses, it was basically a choice between, if I go to the, not that time period, if we go to this one. So, for example, Lannister was one of the Great houses I chose. Greyjoy, in the Iron Islands, Tyrells, Baratheon, and finally, the Tullys. So, not many people fuss on Great houses at all, interestingly enough. And then obviously for Lordly and High Lordly houses. So, Lordly I chose between Bolling/Durrandon. The remainder, I don't know if you can see them in this part here, but they're in over there in Storm's End. The Harlaws, which, I don't even know where, which was the, I can't remember which Harlaws it was. But the Harlaws controlling one's place, I'm pretty sure, is, I think there's 2 I recall. Ah, yeah, Harris Harlaw the Knight. Yeah, that's one I recall. Foresters, of course. They obviously were quite low in voting. The Farmans. Now, I chose Farman as one that was a count, because I intended to actually play as a Lissa Farman, who would have a count either in possibly a Shy, maybe, or somewhere in Essos. Or if we start in Faircastle, I'd take away the High Lordship title and give it to another house and make it so we have to, like, basically retake the place essentially and take back a High Lordship. And also finding Old Flowers. Not quite sure if I can remember where the hell these guys are. Let's see if I can see how good my memory is. My memory more be me just guessing as to where the hell this place is. I think they definitely have a landed settlement, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure they have. I could have sworn the Old Flowers definitely have a lordship or something, do they not? I'm sure they did. Or are they unlanded in certain time periods? No, I don't know actually. Maybe they're not landed. Oh, there they are. Ah, there you are. Somerset. Old Flowers. That's what I'm looking for. Now, Old Flowers is a cadet branch similar to Bolling of cadet branch of House Gardner. Whereas Bolling is a cadet branch of Durrandon's, Old Flowers is a cadet branch of House Gardner. And you can reform the house, so I think you have to have a very high title to do so. But you can reform the house, there's that. In terms of High Lordly houses, I chose between the High Towers, who obviously very notable in the House of Dragon coming up soon. High Towers, Estamonts, because I quite like Estamont generally. The Tarleys, who obviously control the Westmarch. And Randall Tarley being a notable person there. House Manderley as well I chose, who I quite like the Manderleys. And also House Frey, because why not? So those got very hardly any votes at all. Now coming in second place was exiled and landless houses. So obviously come the Feast of Crows, the only exiled Stark left is John, which we wouldn't play again. I'd probably play as another Stark in some form or another. And obviously the other house was of Rainhill / Rain. I'm pretty sure the Rains, they definitely don't have another. They might have another Cadet branch, but Rainhill I know definitely is. I don't know if they're here at all. No, they're a separate entity. I'm pretty sure Rainhill, the actual member, is they're like a Cadet branch of Rob Rain, one of the Blackfire supporters that went with the Golden Company, and his lineage continues on over in Essos. And then next was House Grey Iron, which was an old house from the Iron Islands, which were like kicked out of the Iron Islands about a couple thousand years ago. My backstory for them would be them returning to the Bassis Isles, well, not really returning, but founding a new sort of area and land mass and sort of kingdom in the Bassis Isles. I probably would have them start off as a smaller lords rather than a kingdom, but we're just seeing how it goes. Then obviously Darry and Hornwood. Darry, come the events of the War of the Five Kings, was kicked out. They live on with a bastard of the house somewhere in Darry. And also the same instead of House Hornwood, I think it's Lawrence Snow, I think it is. Because Hornwoods have since lost their lands and titles to the Boltons. So it would have been an interesting sort of start of us. Maybe starting off with those land masses and maybe returning back to glory, possibly. But that's for them. And obviously with, so the second place, obviously the exiled houses, with a 27% of the votes. And finally, as if it isn't already obvious, I may have hinted to it when I mentioned I'll talk about them later. Here we are. Oh, okay. That's thanks Windows. Anyway, so with 62% of the votes came Valyrian houses, and those Valyrian houses are as follows. We shall start with the first. So the first one is Daemon Blackfire. So the first Valyrian house is the Blackfires. Can you go away, please? Oh no, it's alt tab me. Thank you, Windows. I hate you so much. It's because CK2's borderless Windows, so it just pops up, which is annoying. So a Daemon Blackfire, the Blackfires, which is a cadet branch of House Targaryen, the legitimized bastard son of King Aegon IV, and has claimed his right to the throne against his half-brother Daeron, claiming he is in fact a bastard between his uncle Aemon the Dragon Knight and Nerys, his mother. And basically claiming that Daemon has a better claim and that his other son is bastard, his other brother is bastard, and he has better claim basically. So House Blackfire. Now I will do a couple sub-votes for various, the sub-votes will basically be like this. If you've seen a few of my episode 0 videos, many of you have seen the Skyrim one, which has about 2,000 views, which is bananas, then you will know I do a few polls to decide certain other things before we jump in with the actual series. To give you all as much creative choice, and I guess choice as much as I can give you. So for the Blackfires, the sub-vote that I will give to you is what time period we play the Blackfires in. So the first time period obviously would be, and obviously this is obviously if they win the vote, then there'll be an episode 0 which will go through the time periods. But I will tell you what they probably will be, just so you can get a basic idea of what you're voting, what you may see afterwards. However, it's not set in stone. I may change my mind and think, oh, actually, do you know what? Let's do this instead on the episode 0. So bear in mind it might not be set in stone. So the first, because obviously it will be on the community tab again. There'll be 5 options, similar to how there is 5 houses to vote for. So the first option then for the sub-vote will be the Blackfire Rebellion start date, playing as Daemon, the first Blackfires. The next time period will be as Daemon II, who claimed he'd tried to start a second Blackfire Rebellion. However, it didn't work at all. I think he got captured and betrayed by Duncan the Tall, and Duncan the Tall basically got in the way, and the rebellion failed. So whether or not with that one we'll kick it off with Daemon actually starting the rebellions, and we'll figure out how, that happens. But or it might be a different scenario. But that it may well be the second Blackfire Rebellion actually starting, as opposed to when it didn't. So there you go. The next option is the third Blackfire Rebellion with King Hagon when he claims the throne and invades Westeros. I don't know why Barristan is a person there, but there you go. But him claiming the throne was the third proper, like the actual proper second Blackfire Rebellion that actually physically involved armies. Whereas the second didn't really involve anything. He got one castle got teared down. A couple of the guys I think died, and that was it. So Hagon the Blackfire, that's the third choice. And the fourth choice is the fourth Blackfire Rebellion with Daemon Blackfire, who is, I believe, is the son of Hagon, actually, I think. And he claims the throne this time around with the fourth Blackfire Rebellion. And of course, the final rebellion, the final option you'll get to vote for is the War of the Ninepenny Kings as King Maelys the Monstrous, which I associate as the hardest start for the Blackfires to win. Although, to be honest, the third and the fourth Blackfire Rebellions are unwinnable. This you can actually try and attempt it, but everybody hates Maelys, so everyone's going to assassinate you, so it's just it's pretty hard. But those are the 5 different options you'll get to vote for if the Blackfires win the poll. The next house is House Bittersteel, which is, of course, the... I can show you who they are. Oh. Which is Aegor Bittersteel. He's the bastard half-brother of Daemon Blackfire. He's also one of the peoples are probably responsible for instigating the idea of becoming king in Daemon's mind, and probably one of the reasons the Blackfire Rebellion actually started. There's a few options we can do for Aegor as well. Aegor, of course, notably is around in the Rebellion. He does not hold any titles in the right flank, but I can edit it around to make him give him actual piece of land somewhere and have him play a part in the Rebellion. So that might be one option. In terms of other options for Aegor Bittersteel, I'm not quite sure. I guess I could have him appear in various rebellions, but the way it works, so it's like I might have to look at an option. So say, for example, we did the third Blackfire Rebellion. I might have to play as Hagon first, and if we win, ideally play as Bittersteel afterwards or something like that, I think is the best way to do it. So it could well be the same sub-votes and starting positions as I mentioned with the Blackfires, but we'll see. Because come by the events of the... I can't remember what... I think... is he around? Is he alive? Let me find the fourth Blackfire Rebellion in a minute. I don't know if he's still alive come the events of the fourth Blackfire Rebellion. I'm not quite sure there, unfortunately. But I'll find out. So with Bittersteel, though, it would be a couple votes for probably around the same times as various rebellions. Or if I go towards the later dates when he's actually dead, it'll just be an OC character that I've created for, that is the last of the Bittersteels, that Aegor literally had a son. Come the Feast of Crow start period, we have no idea if the Bittersteel lineage died off. I feel the Bittersteels and the Blood Ravens could have done with a bit more time in the oven in terms of like if they had any more kids or family members. But it's never mentioned or said if they did or not. Maelys Blackfire was rumoured to have had a son, I think, who was alive, I think. But I think he sacrificed him or something or other happened. And obviously Blood Raven never had any kids, and Bittersteel never had any kids from what's been written so far. But who knows. So that out of the way, that's the Bittersteels. So Aegor Bittersteel, one of the most interesting characters, I think. Very ruthless character, and there's a bit of a rivalry with his half-brother, Blood Raven. And that brings us on quite nicely to our next character. And that is, of course, if I can show you him. I think he should be here somewhere. There he is. Lord Commander Brendan Bloodraven, the Bloodraven dynasty. And the Bloodravens, of course, is another bastard brother of Daemon and Aegor. He is, but this time period around, he's actually more loyal to Daeron the Good. So he's not with his brothers, he's staying loyal to the king. And so Brendan Rivers is a very interesting character. He goes on to become the Three-Eyed Raven, the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. And generally he commands a unit of the Raven's Teeth, which is a regiment of archers, very dangerous archers, and very powerful archers. They're almost like the elves of Game of Thrones, but they are very powerful. And Brendan Bloodraven's a very interesting character, and I think generally him as a character could be very interesting. In terms of what time period you're playing, I don't know, you can play as Bloodraven actually during, because he is a vassal of King Daeron. I think he has like a castle in Blackwater Keep or somewhere other. So we could play as, so in terms of like a secondary vote, Brendan Bloodraven, we could play as him in just this time period. But in terms of other time periods, Brendan goes on, I think he actually, I think the last time he's the Lord Commander, is it around the Nine Penny Kings? Or maybe just before, yeah. So he goes on to like the nearly up to the almost the Nine Penny Kings, but he disappears beyond the wall and then goes on to become the Three-Eyed Raven. Obviously, you can't play as the Three-Eyed Raven, but you can only play as Brendan up until this point. So I might do a few different options for how far we play as Brendan, maybe after the rebellion, during the next couple of rebellions, or maybe him as over in the Night's Watch, but have a son appear, so maybe have him go beyond the wall, but desert the Night's Watch, and then you play as his descendants, or Brendan beyond the wall, perhaps, I don't know. We're not really sure yet, we'll see. And the next house, moving on from the Blackfire Rebellions and the brothers of the sons of King Aegon IV, moving on to House Celtigar. Now, House Celtigar is a noble house who rules over Claw Isle, just to the over here. Now, we played as Velaryon before, we played as Targaryen, so naturally we should probably play as the Claw Isle to give the houses of Claw Isle, the House of Claw Isle, a bit of a run for its money. So the Celticars are present in loads and loads of different time periods. So around in the Century of Blood, I believe. Yep, Lord Aegon Celtigar, and up until all the way till the Feast of Crows, with Lord Adrian the Red Crab. So generally, there's a lot of Celticars. In terms of a sub-vote, then if Celticar obviously wins, I will have to go through and decide which. I probably will look up a few notable characters, maybe a notable Celticar characters, and then probably put those options into a poll. But with Celticar, I'm not really sure. I don't know much about House Celticar. House Celticar, though, were a house that did ingratiate themselves with the Westeros a lot more than the Velaryons or Targaryens did. They adopted Westerosi names. They started intermarrying with lots of Westerosi people, and also just very. And also, instead of carrying Valyrian swords, they actually have a Valyrian axe called Crab's Pincer, which is a very interesting choice of weaponry. It shows you that House Celticar isn't like other Valyrian houses. They're a bit more. They're more ingratiated in with the other houses of Westeros. And so that's House Celticar. Now coming on to the last option, if I can quickly find him here, and that is House Corhyrus, which probably, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. No idea. The House Corhyrus was a Valyrian house that followed Aegon over with the Aegon's conquest, and eventually went on to becoming the Lords of Harrenhal. Now, eventually come, I believe, come the events of Maelys, Maegor, the Faithful Uprising, the Corhyrus line has been wiped out due to the Curse of Harrenhal. So for House Corhyrus, I have no idea what sort of time period we're playing them as. I have no idea. But they have Lord Gargan of Harrenhal. There's a load of different Corhyruses. I think there's 3 Corhyrus Lords of Harrenhal. Actually, in fact, I'll just quickly show you why I'm here. There's about 3 different Lords of Harrenhal that were of the Corhyrus bloodline. So likely I might do 3 polls for just those 3 characters. Or I might make a few OC characters. Maybe a Daemon Blackfire. Is it Daemon Corhyrus? Yeah. Daemon Corhyrus before he becomes the Lord of Harrenhal. And I play as Aegon the Conqueror and just give him a bit of land. The soonest land that I can give him. And maybe I do a Corhyrus that is returned from the lineage somehow and shows up in the future, but who knows. But I'll show you the Lords of Harrenhal then. The Lords that we may be picking towards when the game loads. Hopefully. Momentarily. Hopefully soon. Right? Oh my god, why's it taking so long? Alright, let's speed up a bit, game. It's not as if I'm recording the video that shouldn't really be any longer than 20 minutes, but come on. Oh, I've heard something. I've heard a noise. Game? Come on. Come on. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, for goodness sake. Hello? Game? Oh! Aha! Finally! Jesus Christ. Okay. Right. Right. So the 3 the 2, sorry. There's a few more characters yes there is. So there you go. but all of them seem to have died. So the first character is Quentin. Why did I say Damon? No idea. Quentin Chorus, sorry, not Damon, Chorus. He died in an accident not long after he became Lord. His sons died of a natural death. I have no idea what on earth happened to them. But his next person became Lord Gargan, who got his what's-it-calf and got executed by a bunch of outlaws. Who they are, I have no idea. We're also at a time period, in this time period particularly, where the outlaws were rising up. And also you had the Vulture King as well, the Second Dornish War. So the Chorus line died out pretty damn quickly. What happened to Quentin, I have no idea. What happened to his sons, I have no idea. And what happened to his grandson, well, didn't go well for him. So, who knows? The House of Chorus, I think, is a very interesting lineage. I did think they had a... well, maybe not. Yeah, it tells you about him. So, Quentin was made Lord of Harrenhal, becoming one of the most powerful lords of the realm. So, yeah, that's the Chorus bloodline. Other than that, not a lot about the house. We'll probably play as Quentin and maybe another member of the house, or we'll figure something else out in the future. But for now, unfortunately, House of Chorus died out in canon. But there's a chance for us to play as them in the future. So those are your houses. So you got the Chorus, Celticar, Bloodraven, Bittersteel, and Blackfire. 5 different houses that I think could be quite interesting. Blackfire could be very interesting with the whole rebellions and becoming king and whatnot. A bit similar to the Targaryen dynasty in some form or another. And depending on what time period you're playing, it could be very interesting for the Blackfires. Bittersteel's quite interesting. Aegon Bittersteel's a very interesting character. So playing as him at any point could be quite interesting. And generally just finding out more about him would be quite cool. And that would be interesting. The Bloodraven could be cool. Brennan Rivers, again, very interesting character. A lot of the sons of Aegon IV were rather interesting. Even Shiera Seastar was quite cool. And Offerus, the... I can't remember his name. Offerus the Black Dragon or something or other. The Bravosi guy that was of Summer Islander descent was also one of the bastard sons as well, which is quite interesting. So Bloodraven could be interesting. Find out more about his house, and maybe gives us a chance to start in the north again, as him deserting the Night's Watch, or maybe as a lineage of a son of his, maybe. House Celticar could be interesting, starting off as the Lords of Claw Isle. I doubt I'll change that at all, so we're probably, whatever scenario we play as, it will be as House Celticar in Claw Isle. There's just the time period will be different, and the characters will be usually different. There's their axe, by the way, for those wondering. House Coherus could be quite interesting. Battling the Curse of Harrenhal to try and survive could be quite interesting. So we have to see how that develops, I suppose. But there you go. Those are the houses. Those are dynasties. And that's all for now. I shall see you very soon then with the houses that have won. In the description of this video, you will find a link that will take you to the community tab, which will be where the vote is posted. And then you will find the option to vote for all 5. So there you go. Not all 5. Vote for 1. But there you go. That's all. That's all I need to say. I'm looking forward to jumping in again with a new CK2 series. Valyrian houses might be a little similar to the Targaryen and the Jon Snow thing, but I think it will be different enough with a different house and different characters to make the series and story a lot interesting. And I will probably endeavour for the first episode to do an intro, like a bit of a written narrative intro to give you a bit of backstory to the story, because usually when I do an intro to a story without using script and editing and whatnot, the video turns into like a 4-hour long audiobook. So let's not do that and I'll just do a scripted intro, a nice good quality scripted intro to give you a basis of what the basis of the character we're playing as and the story we're playing as. So there you go. I will probably do an epilogue intro as well, because I always like doing epilogue epilogue outro. So at the very last episode of that series, the future series, I will do an epilogue to round out things that have happened. An exception to those sort of intros will be games that don't really need it. So for like, I don't know, Battle for Middle-earth, for example. Skyrim, I do want to do that for, and I do want to do the same for Total War as well. I'm going to be doing 2 Total War campaigns, and the reason I'm not doing 2 CK2 campaigns to make up for like sort of the balancing, I suppose, is because with CK2 it takes a lot longer to make. I find myself with Crusader Kings 2 series generally taking a lot longer, because there's lots of stuff in that involve you skipping ahead quite a few years, especially as if nothing, because quite often what happens in CK2 is you come to a lot of peacetime, and in peacetime not a lot happens that is particularly entertaining for a video, so I find myself skipping over things, and generally a lot of stuff in CK2 isn't really worth recording when you record it for as long as I have, which is a damn I can't show you, but I can. Yes, I can. Which is quite a while. I've been recording CK2 for 3,000 hours of my time has gone into this game, so I think by now you sort of know the bits that are kind of boring. And maybe when CK3 gets a bit more traction, a bit more interesting stuff, then maybe I'll likely move on to CK3 eventually when I'm completely bored to death of CK2 and there's nothing left to interest me anymore. But for now, there's still quite a lot in CK2 that I still want to do, so until that time, and until I get bored of CK2, then I won't bother looking to CK3. I'll wait for CK3 and the Game of Thrones mod they've got for that to be a lot more extensive and a lot more interesting, and up to the same level I would say CK2 is. But anyway, that's all for now. I thank you for watching. Navai Naden Palaban Melanin, and farewell.